Команда OutdoorWORLD часто бывает в горах.
The OutdoorWORLD team is an often guest in the mountains. We go there with rangers and researchers, archaeologists and local residents. Yet this time, we are heading to the mountains with mountain tourists. Mountain guides, to be more exact, who will show us how to hike, how to cross rivers, how to eat properly in the mountains. All the do's and don'ts. To begin with, you need to distribute the weight and food correctly. So let me go and get my share. Welcome our team. Some of us already have serious experience, others are making their first steps in mountaineering.
Дорогие друзья, давайте мы сейчас.
Dear friends, you have 5-10 minutes for a snack and a cup of tea, and then we'll have to distribute our stuff among ourselves. Who's going to take ropes, snap hooks, harnesses, etc. Preparing for a hike, it's extremely important to distribute all the weight based on each team member's physical fitness.
По уровню их физической подготовки.
Not all team members know each other, so let's get acquainted first.
Я была 2 раза на Эвересте, ходила на...
I was on Everest twice and Sagarmatha. Unfortunately, it was all like in a dream. My level is beginner. I really want to learn how to do it right. On this trip, I'm a doctor. My level is medium.
Я являюсь гидом-экскурсоводом.
I'm a guide and love our nature.
Люблю горы.
Asel Gubaidulina is an old friend of our program. She's a tour operator and goes on such trips not of the mere love of mountains, but due to professional necessity as well. From this moment on, all your human and civil rights are abolished. Here the special law of the mountains comes into force. It's the law of survival, team survival. What do you have here? I have a tent, a sleeping bag, some warm clothes, but I don't have any food for which I depend on the group. Other team members depend on me for the tent. Nothing redundant, right? Right, we don't need extra weight. Sir, yes, sir. Bagaudin Bekov is the expedition lead. Once the world champion in powerlifting, then seriously doing boxing, and later switching to coaching and mentoring and getting interested in mountaineering. Bagaudin heads the mountain running of Kazakhstan club.
Вот сейчас нужно сделать так. Вот то, что тяжелое, да?
Okay, listen up. We will take everything that's heavy but not too big in size. Like canned food. Who's going to take these 4 loaves of bread? Professionalism is necessary even for such a trifle as lacing boots. On a sporting hike, you consume a ton of calories. Sometimes you even have to force a person to eat because you need his power, his energy. Just because a person is not feeling him or herself well, he or she is a little weak and has not eaten properly, it's going to be much harder for him or her to carry the weight, because others are already loaded to the brim. To ascend 1 meter vertically, a human burns about 2 kilocalories. Thus, to climb 800 meters, one will need additional 1,600 kilocalories.
Килограмм сахара.
A kilogram of sugar makes 4,000 kilocalories.
Давайте, все давайте.
Come on, give it to me.
Неплохо лежит, несите мне.
I will take all of it, no problem. Kairat Tinanbayev is an athlete and in great physical condition, so he indeed can afford to take more load. Let's check if you have everything, so we don't find something missing in the middle of nowhere. When we go really deep into the mountains, it will be too late. Why so much rope? We'll have some obstacles on the way. What is this tank for? Is it pepper spray against bears? We'll bump into them for sure.
Вот оно, сокровище наше.
I've got all the treasure treats. All the sweet stuff is in my backpack. Hope nobody saw it.
Куртку-то сними.
You need to take off your jacket and keep it close. You will be sweating on the go. When you stop, you will immediately start cooling down, and this is exactly when you pull out your jacket and put it on.
Стоп, стоп, стоп. Так.
No, Rustam, no. You can't leave it like that, because on the way there will be a lot of branches everywhere. They will rip it all into pieces. Fix it all with the rope. This way it'll be safe.
И все будет нормально тогда.
Everything is packed up. The only thing left is putting the backpacks on your backs and checking the balance.
Смотрим. Значит, основное это боковая.
It's important. Don't forget to fix your lateral support straps.
Чуть-чуть подтягиваем.
Pull them in a little. My backpack is not balanced, it seems. This side is higher than the other. Pull it slightly.
Углубляемся в ущелье. Сегодня нам предстоит пройти 12,5.
We are going deeper into the gorge. Today we'll cover about 12.5 kilometers. And please keep to the route. Stay close to each other, in sight of each other. No more than 20 meters and no less than 3 meters in between. Got it?
Ну, не меньше 3 метров.
The adventure begins. The group starts from the altitude of 1,700 meters above sea level. In one day, we will go up to 2,500 meters. Whereas most people do not experience any difficulties at such elevation, climbing up to 3,500 meters, many unprepared tourists may suffer the first symptoms of high-altitude hypoxia. With height, the partial oxygen pressure in the inhaled air drops and the human body reacts to oxygen deprivation differently. Some people get headaches, become dizzy, get nausea, or can even suffocate. Others, on the contrary, experience something resembling euphoria. The Nepalese living at the altitude of 5,000 meters feel great because their body has been adapting to life in sparse oxygen conditions since childhood. The quantity of red blood cells and hemoglobin in their blood increases and the bloodstream slows down. Residents of the plains need to acclimatize before climbing the mountains. The higher the elevation, the longer it takes to adapt to it. Beginner tourists should be careful even at 2,500 meters. The first rest halt. On a hike, you cannot do without a knife, a minimum set of wear, a burner, and a couple of gas tanks. How many different tastes do you know? Sweet, bitter, sour, and salty. On a 2-day trip, a piece of sausage will suffice, but a long-distance hike requires special and careful selection of food products. They should be light, not take up a lot of space, and at the same time contain enough calories. The recognized masters of long mountain hikes, Afghan Mujahideen, can survive for months on a mixture of honey, nuts, and dried apricots.
Вот есть в горном туризме, ребята.
As an applied science, mountain tourism has a whole section on group psychology in the mountains. You think of mountains as something that you love because it's beautiful here, the scenery is great, and you are breathing fresh air, a true getaway from the civilization. Going to the mountains, you see a gorgeous place to spend some time. You imagine permanent good weather, problem-free, and you don't have to carry too much load. You don't plan for getting sick of hypoxia, or the mountain sickness as we call it, that you will shiver of it, that your temples will be bursting and your feet will bleed with blisters. Surprise, the weather can change instantly. Hot, cold, and then hot again. Then it starts raining and you're all soaked. The blisters on your feet are killing you, etc., etc., etc. This is when the true you starts coming out, the inner human. Not only in mountaineering, but likewise in many spheres of human activity, groups working in extreme conditions are formed from people with a similar set of psychophysiological qualities. Team members undergo special selection.
Потому что без этого взаимодействовать невероятно сложно. И здесь начинают появляться какие-то...
Because interaction is key for the survival of the group. Immediately, outsiders and informal leaders emerge. Each of us follows certain behavioral stereotypes and they start coming out. And this is when tensions and conflicts begin. Some go through this stage easily. For others, it's quite hard. When the first difficulties or obstacles begin, when you need to act smoothly, quickly and harshly. If this coherence did not forge in a timely manner, then it will be hard for the entire group. You can listen to Bagaudin's stories forever, but in the mountains it gets dark early and we need to hit the road. In winter, several avalanches went down the slope. The mudslide cut a rather large canyon in it and a storm covered the path with fallen trees. Have a look at this pine tree behind my back that was torn out of the ground with its roots. This is due to its superficial root system spreading across the slope without going deep into the ground. One powerful wind gust is enough.
Очень легко может ее опрокинуть.
Bagaudin has drawn our attention not only to the beauty but also the vulnerability of mountain ecosystems. Once, these mountains were solid granite and basalt slabs raised by tectonic processes. Over time, the wind applied a thin layer of soil to the bare rock. Plants started growing, animals came around, and this fragile mountain ecosystem had formed. Even a small construction project on a steep slope covered with mountain spruce forest and removing the thin fertile soil layer may push erosion over the entire slope, facilitating landslides and everything that comes with them.
И посмотрите, как
Look how the birch grove mixes with the pine woods. In the first half of the 20th century, American botanist Frederick Clements introduced the concept of succession into scientific use, denoting the cyclical alteration of plant communities. Some plants prepare the soil for others. In our case, birch forest forms fertile soils for coniferous forest. Years will pass and young spruce will sprout between the old birch trunks. Spruce will grow, cover sunlight with their crowns and completely displace the birch. Then hundreds of years will pass and the coniferous forest will deplete the soil. The giant spruce will dry up and a storm will bring them down. Their trunks will rot and birches will appear again in the glade. This plant community cycling can continue forever. Where are we? The way is blocked. There was a hurricane here.
Ну что, здесь прошел ураган.
Lots of fallen trees. While we were overcoming all these obstacles, we lost our main path. What do we do now? Let me check out the surroundings. Wait for me, okay? Of course. I'm getting kind of cold. Let's have some tea, my dear Tanya. Pour me one as well. Here's some tea for you. Careful with your back. I want some too, please. In the mountains, climbing with a heavy backpack behind your back, you get hot and sweat. Yet sitting down for a minute in the shade, it immediately feels cold. Let's stick together. No breaking up because otherwise we will all get lost. Let's wait for Bagaudin. Let me go and check out what's around. He told us to wait for him here. The sun will come down soon. And not that much tea left. You can't drink so much of it. I am tired of drinking tea. We'll go and try finding the trail.
Так, друзья, я там тропу нашел.
Okay, guys, I think I have found the trail.
Все, идем за мной.
Follow me. Careful, there's a cliff. It looks like we got lost. Step back. The stone might move and the ground will fall. Our team made a typical beginner mistake. We violated the instructions of the group lead and got lost. Look who's here! Bagaudin! We are in trouble. Didn't I tell you to wait? Okay, tell me how you ended up here. We found some tracks. Someone walked over them. We decided to meet up with you, but then bumped into this cliff. Well, it could have been anybody's tracks. One more important thing for the future, guys. We ended up in quite a difficult situation. Why? Because you made this mistake of not doing what your team lead told you. Your task was simple, to wait for me where you were. I understand it's hard. I was gone for almost an hour. It's good that you didn't split up completely.
Что вы все вместе оказались, да, что вы не разделились.
Since we have arrived at this mudslide cone, we'll still have daytime. Get the ropes and snap hooks, and let's try setting up the air crossing. Twilight will come at 7:22 p.m. It's 7 already. To build an air crossing, someone needs to go down to the canyon bottom, climb to the opposite slope, and secure the rope. This time, Bagaudin assumed this task, but during the next hikes, the students must learn to do it themselves. Hey girls, we need some moral support from you. I think we can manage the tackle together because we have Kairat Tanenbayev, our master of sports in powerlifting, with us. They use tackle systems not only in tourism. This is a lifting device consisting of several movable and fixed rope blocks.
Тянем. Ага, переставляем. Давай.
Pull, rehook, pulling again. This is what I call teamwork.
Не, так не пойдет, так не пойдет.
No, no, no. It won't work like this. Take it all off. Now pull it through here. Isn't it clear that you won't be able to hang on this? Yes, take this one out and pull it through here. Do you always take all these things with you? Depending on a mountain class. This time, we needed it, yes. This loop goes here. Put your legs here. This loop goes here too. Otherwise, you will not get it out. I always wanted to learn to tie knots. These ones aren't knots. On the contrary, these are knots. What type? This one is called flat or square knot.
Тань поторопилась.
Tanya was too fast. This stone is dangerous. Let's throw it down. Everything is dangerous here. Did you fix the ascenders? Sit down slightly lower for the rope to be on the same level. Air crossing is troublesome, but in general quite safe. You will need dexterity, arm strength, and good coordination of movements. All the expedition members have crossed the canyon successfully, it would seem. Overcoming such obstacles we train only our body, but modern science claims that our brain also works hard during such exercises, especially in difficult and dangerous situations. Scientists have discovered that the same brain sections are responsible for fine manual skills and logical thinking. Just imagine yourself on the bank of a river jumping carefree from a stone over to another. It would seem that only your legs are working, but your legs only fulfill the instructions of your brain. It instantly takes into account the size of stones, their weight, positioning angle, distance between them, surface condition, and 1,000 other factors. One wrong decision and you fall. When humans got the happy opportunity of not spending all the calculation capacity of their brains on running away from predators or, say, catching their prey, the excess of nerve cells accumulated by evolution allowed people to spend more time on intellectual and creative tasks. It may not be the best comparison, but the vast majority of climbers and mountaineers are well-educated people. Cool. You're not there yet. A little more. Can I go again? Just a little more. On your feet. Finally, the crossing is over, and all the members of the team have coped with it well. Meanwhile, it starts getting dark, and we start looking for a place to set up the camp. Is it raspberries over there? Looks like it, although not too much left. For a good campsite, it has to be an even area safe from falling rocks. It's good to have a water source nearby too. It looks we have found what we need. Some tourists drink raw water from mountain rivers, but if there is grazing cattle up the stream, it is still better to boil it. Experienced tourists can set up a tent and cook a dinner with no problem. I recommend against taking beach tents to the mountains. You should use special mountaineering tents. Let's get some cooking going. What would you like this evening? Stewed meat, besh barmak, pasta navy. Gas tank selection is a serious matter. Propane tanks burn poorly in cold and at altitude. But there is a special gas for high-altitude mountaineering, a mixture of propane and butane. I always use gas burners in national parks because the fine for setting up a fire in a wrong place is 50 MCIs. Namantai has a sad story about that. It happened about 3-4 years ago. The law prohibiting bonfires was already out. I was with a group. It was winter, and we started a fire in the mountains. I was fined big time, almost 300,000 tenge. After that, I always have a gas burner with me.
Я всегда хожу с горелкой.
Очень вкусная еда.
Absolutely delicious. Instant noodles with stewed meat. Whereas in the evening, after a hard hike, you need to juice up properly. In the morning, we pay tribute to the tradition.
Вот сейчас мы готовим овсяную кашу.
Breakfast of champions, oatmeal, a little salt and sugar, and a bit of dry cream.
Немного сухих сливок.
Bagaudin, I got a question for you. I am 163 centimeters high and weigh about 60 kilograms. How many kilocalories do I need per day of hiking?
Как рассчитываются калории в походе?
Simple math, and it depends on a person. An average human weighs 70 kilograms, and the basal metabolism is about 15 to 1600 calories. An additional 300 calories for maintaining standard body functions. Summing up, it comes up to around 1800. Plus the physical load during the hike itself. Whereas in average conditions, a person will need another 300 calories, then on a mountaineering hike, it's safe to say that you will need another 500. So the rough minimum per day of hiking is about 2,500 calories. What is the difference between the glycemic index and basal metabolism? They are totally different. Glycemic index is the rate at which a food increases the blood glucose level. The faster it does it, the higher the glycemic index.
Тем выше гликемический индекс.
After breakfast, we have a few minutes to chat.
Почему ты ходишь?
Why do you go to the mountains? Because I love nature. I feel good being in the wild. I also do it for maintaining my physical shape. I also meet a lot of interesting people, intelligent and educated. In addition, I test myself in extreme situations, and by this, I temper my character.
А вот ты как больше предпочитаешь, какие походы?
Do you prefer harder hikes, sports mountaineering on the verge of survival, or easy walks for pleasure and health like this one?
Здоровье.
I love hard ones better. In other words, you are an adrenaline junkie, right? Not at all. There's just more to remember. Ascending a mountain for 10 hours and overcoming various difficulties definitely leaves an impression for the rest of your life. What about you, Maxime? On the one hand, it's like a sports for me. Although in my case, it's more about physical activity and staying healthy. I also believe that out of all types of physical exercises and sports, hiking is the best. Because not only do you push your body to a limit, but you also gain a lot emotionally. The beauty around nourishes you with positivity. And this somehow affects your overall physical condition.
Действует и на твою физическую составляющую.
A nut brittle for you. To accompany my tea. What about our drone? Did it fall into the water? I think so. Did it get carried away by the current? Yes, we chased it. It fell to the bottom and caught on a rock. Will it survive? Hope so. Margarita, could you show me what gear you usually take to the mountains? A burner? A toothbrush is a must for grooming up in the morning. On a hike, it's all about weight. I would have taken my full wardrobe if I could.
Хочется весь гардероб взять.
По одежде у нас, значит, первый слой у нас идет.
Clothes-wise, the outer shell is synthetics, not allowing to get too wet, and then the fleece layer. Gore-Tex pants. Yes, breathable. Walking through the dew or in the rain, you won't get wet. What about the boots that you need for mountain hiking? Boots are extremely important, number one for sure. A long time ago, before becoming an experienced tourist, I got caught in a really heavy downpour. We practically walked in water up to our knees on the way back. I spent a month in the hospital after that. Leaving the hospital, I decided that I would never ever again in my life try saving up on boots. High quality is the only option. Baljan, could you come up for a second? Look at her boots. Yet the socks are stylish. It says "Leave me alone" on them. Conveys the situation quite well. And now the tent. What tents are good for mountaineering? They are distinguished by the pressure they can withstand. The worse the conditions you plan to use them in, the more millimeters of mercury you need. Now they call ecotourism all kinds of things. Some even call going to Video for shashlik environmental tourism as well. Could you clarify the term? Let's use the village of Sati near the Kolsai lakes as an example. At first, people started going there to see the lakes. Then they started wanting a simple infrastructure and services, as not everybody was ready for tent accommodation. So they began approaching the locals for housing. That's how it all developed. The campsites appeared, and the locals started generating income. There are multiple definitions of ecotourism, but putting it in a nutshell, it is a type of tourism positively affecting the environment of an area. Commercial tourism is very different from mass recreation. However, both benefit the state. The former means money, and the latter, especially among young people, allows preserving public health, prevents alcohol and drug abuse, as well as crime, and thus brings a huge indirect benefit to a country quite hard to calculate in monetary terms. Although mountaineering will by no means replace conventional medicine, it does have a certain positive medicinal effect also.
У меня 5 лет назад был такой опыт.
5 years ago, I had a problem. Intervertebral hernias. A friend of mine had a similar problem and underwent a surgery in Moscow. His wife is riding him in a wheelchair now. Instead of a surgery, I abandoned all my business and went to the Altai for a month. There was just a hut and a bathhouse there. During my first days there, I could only walk the 100 meters to the bathhouse with a walking cane. But I did it every day. Then I started to go fishing to the nearby river. A month later, I was already climbing in the mountains, about 1,500 meters up, along a not very easy trail.
Ментальная гигиена. Вот, это вещь достаточно серьезная. И когда ты находишься...
Mental hygiene is a serious thing. And when you are alone with nature, with like-minded people around you, there are no temptations of civilization which simply distract you, no overeating and no information noise, then your body can tap into its deep reserves and cure itself. This is to demonstrate that by healing your mind, you can actually heal your body. Going from the inner mind and helping your physiology.
Уже к физиологии.
For millions of years, evolution has taught us to do what we saw fit. If we had to run away from the beast, we ran away. If we had to catch up with the prey, we did it. Modern civilization has complicated people's social relations so much that we often do not do what we think necessary. We don't do what we actually think is right. This confuses our brain and stalls it. hence the spread of mental and nervous disorders, a large number of neurosomatic diseases. Many of us feel the need to temporarily leave somewhere where there are no cell phones and live a natural, calm life for some time. It's kind of spiritual hygiene, prevention, and mental charging. It's so nice to be having a breakfast, being in no hurry, making small talk about whatever and philosophizing. But it's time for us to continue our quest. Our next task is crossing the river. Kairat has found a spruce trunk that had fallen over the river 8 kilometers upstream. This is our chance to get to the other side. The current in the river is stormy. There were cases when tourists crossing a river over a log would fall into the rapid stream and die. To avoid this, we need railings. Such river forcing is absolutely safe, although it's worth keeping in mind that mature athletes sometimes ignore safety rules because it appears too simple for them. For tour guides leading a group of beginners, on the contrary, safety is a must. In case of an accident, they will be liable for criminal negligence. Another obstacle is behind, and now we need to find the trail. There it is. One can say we have overcome all major obstacles, and it remains only to go down a few kilometers along the path.
Сейчас давайте, чтобы...
Stay focused, guys, and don't relax. Manage your euphoria. Tatiana, why did you leave the camp without telling anybody? Did you tell anybody which direction you went in? We have been sitting in the camp for more than half an hour, waiting for you and not knowing where you were. The most important thing that you need to pay attention to is not the berries and other joys of life around, but your hike and your team. We will have steep slopes in front of us. Get your loose lacing in order. Going down is easier than going up. In addition, in the lower part of the mountains, on the border of coniferous and deciduous zones, the autumn forest acquires truly fabulous colors. Everyone wants to stop and take selfies, but the team style of the campaign makes each member keep up with the rest of the group. In the mountains, problems arise as always unexpectedly. When it would seem all the difficult places were behind, a cell slipped and dislocated her arm. It hurts like that. How about like this? Yes, it's better, although it's pulling here and fulgurating from the elbow. Another difference between amateur and organized tourism is that the guide has to have first aid skills and have a first aid kit with him. For me, this hike is a kind of milestone and anniversary, as I have drowned my third drone. Nevertheless, I'm happy, because I have learned a lot of new things and met beautiful people who, I hope, will become my friends.
На самом деле поход был замечательный.
This hike was wonderful indeed and quite informative. We learned so much and got so many skills. Despite the fact that we did not go into the glacier rock zone, we had ample opportunities for overcoming all kinds of obstacles. Although quite a mixed bag of people, we became a real team. We are returning home, leaving the fatigue accumulated due to the excess of civilization in the mountains and taking back with us great mood, strong spirit and excellent mental condition. Go to the mountains and try it yourselves. We'll definitely not regret. And don't forget to subscribe to the Qazaq TV's YouTube channel.